they're going for people. And I'm hearing a lot about people feeling a lot more relaxed, a lot more together, a lot more confident. And I think it's the natural outcome of this, having this integration going on, because the subconscious is truly a superpower. It's given to us, the way it was given to us was, of course, integrated. It was not split. The design was not for it to be split, although splits occur. And when we heal those splits, we're back to the way that God created us. And it's pretty amazing. So I'd just like to throw it open for anybody who'd like to share their experiences or experiences that you've had or that your clients have had that they told you about. Jackie?
Me?
Yeah, all you.
Not a whole lot more new than what I found last time, but just to bring that up again, pretty much everybody that I've been working with, one particular fellow that I work with, I got his whole family that I've been working with. And he normally, I'll do a session and he'll wait just a couple days and then kind of give me a little bit of feedback or just book in again or whatever. And so several weeks ago, he booked in for his wife, and I tried this subconscious integration. So he messaged me, he's like, what's this? And he booked in for himself, and we've done 1 or 2, 3, I think, for him. And he messaged me very next morning, I feel different. And so I've had that from a couple people that, no, not necessarily that they specified what exactly was different, but they definitely had a shift, like immediately afterwards. As for the actual process, from last time we were talking about how you can work on them inclusively. So what I'll do is I'll bring up, we're going to do the subconscious integration, and is there any resistance to or obstacles before we find out how many there are? And so I've had resistance miasm come up several times for different people, and just other kinds of resistances, whatever presents. Then I'll ask, across time, space, dimension, all levels of being, Shikati, unknown realms, other timelines and dimensions, and across all that is, finding any known and unknown, descriptive, non-descriptive, pretty much any way that we can possibly find to count how many subconscious, conscious, and temporal splits there are. And then clear whatever we can for that, which one wants to be worked on first. And I'm still finding that the temporal seems to be wanting to work on first, which I associate that with grounding. And
could you define temporal for those who don't know the word?
When Chris first brought this up with the subconscious idea, I was playing around with it, and are there other kind of minds? And so I got conscious mind, yes. But I had seen a video from Teal Swan, which I posted in the group, and she was talking about spiritual gurus in this video. Now, whether that plays into this or not, but what she was talking about is sometimes there are some people, there are spiritual gurus that, they're so holier than thou and untouchable and unapproachable and everything because they're so far on the spiritual side. And that's not necessarily good, because you need to have a grounding in reality, that idea of be in the world but not of the world kind of thing. And so she was talking about temporal, and that kept jumping out as me as temporal. And so I went and looked up temporal, and it means earth and it means time. So in figuring that one out, I figured with temporal mind, you can have a temporal mind. And I figured that means that's your grounded in reality kind of mind. And with what we know about trauma, you have a trauma that can keep you stuck in a certain age of where the trauma happened. There's all sorts of things that we know with breaking the psyche, breaking the spirit, that kind of thing. So, yeah, the body likes to hide things. And for my layman's terms of how to integrate or put that into perspective, I think the temporal mind is the grounding. Like if you work on that and you get the person grounded into their body and into their mind, then they're at the controls, and we can find more with the other splits and be able to focus on that more.
Well, that's a real good explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of my input there.
So I'll ask you then, if you have a client with a lot of splits, will it take a lot of sessions to integrate?
Not necessarily. Like the one time we talked, I said that I had somebody that had a lot of trauma, and I found 25 subconscious splits. But with our last meeting, we were talking about how ask which one wants to be worked on first. And so sometimes I've had temporal mind come up first, or conscious mind, and I'll work on something, but I'll ask to work on them inclusively. So if that same imbalance is in one of the other ones, that it'll also clear there. And maybe I'll have 9 temporal splits, and however many of the other ones. And so TM4 comes up first. So we'll clear imbalances there. TM6 comes up, TM7, and we'll clear those in one session. And then, maybe they don't want to do anything more or whatever. So I'll integrate, find any obstacles to integration. Sometimes there's some of those, and then integrate whatever we can across the board at that point. And when I've asked again, how many splits there are in the same manner that I did before, sometimes there seems to have gone down
spontaneously.
Yeah. So there has been a couple times that I've asked at the end, how many splits there are, and one of them has gone up. So maybe we've just uncovered something else that's private or hidden or something.
Yeah.
So I'm just playing around with it and seeing what comes up, and it seems to work.
Awesome. Fantastic. That's great, Jackie. Thanks.